What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Best Family Homestead. So, as you guys know, my walk day is getting very close. Shoot, I'm down right about 2 weeks now. It's kind of crazy. I've got a lot to do. But today, one of the things I'm tackling is, you've all seen our goatees. We have some new babies out there. Had some wind, some storms knock down some little houses, so I've got to put those back up. And you can see there's their water, and my bag of feed bags blew open. Or actually, I think one of the goats, I think it was probably Oakley, the big Billy goat. So I had all the feed bags hanging in a bag that was hanging on the fence, and he thinks he's a big puppy, so he tore all that feed bag off, and then went through and tore all the feed bags out and scattered them all over the place. So I got to clean that up. But back to business. You can see their goat water. I fill that up every day. They drink a lot, especially when it's hot down here in Georgia. And being that I'm going to, I'm not going to be here, I want to make it a little bit easier for the family to take care of the animals. Aiden's going to be working in Yellowstone, and so it's just going to be Michaela and Carrie, my wife. And Carrie's a swim coach. Michaela's a competitive swimmer. So they're going to have, my wife runs swim practice morning and night during the summer, doubles. So she's gone in the morning at 6, doesn't get home till 10 or 11, and she leaves again at 3, doesn't get home till 7 or 8. She works as hard or harder than I do. So taking care of all the animals in the homestead while I'm gone, since she was awesome enough to support me in this, I want to make it as easy as possible. So I've got a little float system here that I'm going to put in the goat water, and it's basically just a toilet bowl float. That's all it is. As the water pushes it up, it's going to cut off. So what I'm going to do is set this up so I can just hang it over the edge with some PVC pipe, and then I've got some really good water hoses, because obviously I don't have time or the money right now to bury water lines over here. So I'm basically just going to make it an auto water. I'm going to do the same thing for the dog's water. That way it's one less thing that she has to worry about while I'm out walking. Now, one of the things that we didn't really show, we didn't think about it, but the same place with the estate sale, one of the things that they gave us when they were cleaning out the sheds was these big bins full of plumbing and electrical. I mean, just random stuff like I collect, like if someone cleaned out my garage. But the gentleman that passed away, kept all his plumbing and stuff, extra odds and ends. So before I go to the hardware store to get all the PVC pipe and fittings and stuff I need, I'm going to go to the old bird farm, and I'm going to go through and see if I can't get all the stuff there for nothing. Aaron's cheap. So we're going to head over to the old bird farm and then get all this stuff together so we can get this auto water hooked up. All right, everybody. So we are over here at the old bird farm, and this is where we stash the stuff real quick that we got from the estate sale. There's a lot of the plumbing stuff. Like I said, a lot of this stuff, it's just stuff that someone kept, someone much like me that didn't throw anything away. That's that. Well, there is some stuff in here I'm going to be able to use, and why go to the store when you can bring the store to you? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this box here and take it back to the take it back to the Best Family Homestead, and we are going to go through it there while we build this thing. That way I can start putting it together and see exactly what I need to get and what I have that will work. But there's a lot of stuff in here I won't have to buy that I know will do the job. So time now to go coach the dry lands for the swimmers, and then get a bunch more stuff done after that. All right, everybody, so we're going to get started on our auto water for our goat bucket. I've got the original goat water trough here, and unfortunately I wasn't able to use there was a lot of stuff I needed that wasn't in the our bin. But that's okay. There's other usable stuff for another day. Plus I kind of changed my design. So this is a way you can make auto water really for anything. Metal, plastic, it doesn't matter, with some pretty expensive equipment. All I've got here is a fitting, a couple of flanges. This is a cheap toilet type float, you know, and a few screws, some silicone, and a couple tools. And I'm going to show you guys how you can make a really easy auto water setup for about $30 if you have your bucket. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out where exactly we want to place our float. Now, since we have some short goats, I want the water level to be as close to the top as possible. So I'm not going to put this on the curve side. I want this to be as flat as possible. I'm going to put it right here somewhere around the corner. So when I think about the water going in, the water hits down here and this floats it. So probably I'd say about right here, and that way it will have the float all the way up. All right, there we go. Let me find the flattest spot here. The bucket. All right. Now I'm going to take and mark my holes. All right. There we go. You guys probably can't see them in the camera, but I've got my holes marked there. I can see them pretty well. Double check. Looks like I got one hole off just a little bit. Now, what I want to do is get all this dirt off. So the silicone has a good surface to stick to. Inside and out. Alright, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take our two flanges, and we're going to take our silicone. Now we've got our bolts here, and we're going to put one on one side, one on one side and one on the other. Now one of the keys to this, since these, I couldn't find the ones, and I had a couple of these things already, I couldn't find the through gasket. They make through bulkhead fittings that have a gasket, but this is going to work just as good. I'm going to put a whole lot of silicone and then put bolts and nuts through it to squeeze it and sandwich it together. And then we'll be able to screw our float into one side, and we will be able to screw our water hose fitting into the other side, so that all I have to do is just screw the water hose in right here to have water coming in. And I'm using just waterproof silicone. I didn't want to use like black RVT or any kind of automotive. I wanted to make sure it was something that would, you know, be fairly safe for the goat. Didn't want to use anything that's going to leach any kind of chemicals into the water. Like I said, I'm going to put a whole lot of silicone on this. Our second one. And you see why I put so much silicone. Now I know I've got silicone on all these nut and bolt threads. So that water won't leak through the threads. I'm trying to kind of be expedient, because this stuff sets up in 30 minutes and says that it's good to hold water. So as warm as it is out here, if I don't get this thing tightened up soon, my silicone is going to dry up and it's not going to hold the seal. This is the other reason I wanted to make sure and use the metal flanges, because with this bucket not having totally flat sides, the way it's shaped, the plastic ones, which PVC probably would have been fine, but it might not have, wanted to pull together nice and tight. By using these metal flanges here, I know that it's going to pull this stuff up nice and tight, or pull the rubber up nice and tight with the Alright, and now just to make double sure everything's good, I'm going to go back around all these bolts and run another bead, around the base of this flange here. That's one of the things with an auto water system. You really don't want a whole lot of leaking. You really don't want any leaking, because then your water's just going to run. Alright. So now I know I've got a pretty decent seal here. You can see that's already starting to dry, but it looks like as much as I put on the inside, I'm good. So before it starts to dry into threads, I'm going to go ahead and, now don't drill your hole first. It's a lot easier to drill your hole through these afterwards. I don't need a whole ton of water, I mean, it's not, these toilet floats aren't made to run tons of gallons per minute. So that's all I needed to do there. So now I'm going to take and put a whole lot of silicone. And put my screw in my 90 here. Alright. So I got my 90. Alright, so you can see here some of the silicone I spilt has dried nicely. Didn't take too awful long. So all we got to do now is go turn on our water and give this thing a few minutes and see if it's going to work like I hope it does, or work like I hope it will. All right, so I guess Aaron should have made sure this thing was level. There we go. All right, so as long as I make sure it's level, it'll work. And then, yeah, that'll work pretty good. And then when the water level goes down, it's gonna come back on. And then stop. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. Pretty easy and inexpensive way to water the livestock and make sure it maintains, you know, a good level without breaking the bank. So $30, $45. Everything looks pretty good over here as far as leaks and all. So I'm gonna let it set for a day or so and let it set probably, well, at least overnight. Make sure that they'll turn the water off, make sure the water level maintains, that there's no leaks. And I'll be going over to the goats. All right, everybody. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this